Your Lie April, a series that so many people was their first introduction to the emotional stories anime can tell. Now, with the series hitting its 10th anniversary, I decided to revisit a major part of the series. And no, not a review, as I've already done that once. But to answer a question that came to mind one day, music has been an integral part for us humans in expressing the full range of our emotions. The angst we feel on the mosh pit at a punk concert, Taylor Swift writing a hit every time she has a heartbreak, and sometimes we just want to talk about how much we love the homies. So when going through the soundtrack of Your Lie April, I was wondering, is the music that was chosen to be played throughout the series by the ensemble of characters a subtle hint as to what is and will happen to that character and the rest of the story? Now, as I am not the most versed in the classical arts, I will be using this list put together by WordPress as my guide. And I will say it now, be fully prepared for spoilers, as this video will be going through basically everything. So, you have been warned. So Carrie dies! I'm sorry. The first song we hear is Beethoven's Piano Sonata No. 14, Moonlight Sonata, 3rd movement, being played by Kosei in the opening scenes of the anime. Interestingly enough, that isn't the original title of the piece. It was actually called Sonata Quasi una Fantasia, which translates to Sonata in the manner of a fantasy. The name is very telling, as Beethoven wrote it out of heartbreak, dedicating it to his 16-year-old student, Giulietta Guicciardi. I totally butchered that. Who he wished to marry, but was denied by her father as he had no nobility to his name. This piece gives off the sense of being unable to breathe, a score that is running, if not fleeing from itself, not allowing for any thought, just frantic movement. Having the piano act as a conduit to Beethoven's emotions, expressing his lament of the fantasy in his mind remaining as such. So, with the tragedy of Kaori's death to come at the end of the series taking a heavy toll on Kosei, I think it's fair to say that it can mirror the Beethoven's heartbreak, with them both having the one person who filled their life full of color being ripped away from them. The second song on this set list is Beethoven's Violin Sonata No. 9, Kreutzer Sonata, 1st movement, which is performed by Kaori in her first competition. It was originally written for violinist George Bridge Tower, but after the two gentlemen had a falling out, reportedly over a woman, Beethoven then decided to dedicate it to Rudolf Kreutzer, with the music also being a part of an infamously haunting story written by Leo Tolstoy, which details the mental free-falling of his protagonist after bringing in a violinist to perform this piece of music with his wife, who was a pianist. It may be a stretch to say that this story reflects Tsubaki, Kosei, and Kaori's love triangle. Tsubaki being the husband, not having the musical ability their other half has and possibly desires, only for some violinist to come in and seduce their love. God, it feels weird saying that for some bunch of 14-year-olds. But anyways, the third song is a lot less graphic, as we change notes from a song that inspired a fictional murder to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. While eating at a cafe, Kaori and Kosei hear a pair of young girls playing Twinkle Little Star, causing our musicians to comment on the sound of the piano, with Kaori saying it's happy, while Kosei disagrees. The melody of Little Star is a childhood staple attached to the idea of childhood innocence, a time of fun and being full of wonder for the world, reflecting how Kaori sees the piano and music, whereas for Kosei, he instead plays the melody with complexity that wonderfully actuates it, but shows how Kosei's childhood didn't have the wonder of the piano, but instead has been made into a pushing off point of having to become something exceptional. The next piece is performed by Kaori and Kosei in their first competition together, with the pair playing Saint-Saëns, Introduction and Rondo Capriccioso. This music feels as if the violin is the whimsical leader of the piece, and that the piano is just dragging its feet trying to keep up, mirroring our differing duo. The violin gives off the sense of confidence and boldness, as when Kaori is on the stage, she becomes a force of nature, allowing nothing to defy her, whereas the piano is just this unsure mess trying to support the violin, with the crashing notes giving off this feeling of stuttered actions, showcasing Kosei's unsureness of delving back into the musical world, in a way that can only be described as a final spur-of-the-moment thing, as he was being hounded throughout the week leading up to the concert to play with Kaori, and still refusing. That is until she pours out her heart to him on why she plays, with it causing Kosei to give in and agree to play, rushing to learn the music on the way to the venue. The next song in the set list is Chopin Etude Op. 25 No. 5, Wrong Note. This was Kosei's return to the competitive piano world, a piece of music that is so technically difficult, demanding mastery of both hands, yet gives off the sound of insecurity and wincing at every note being struck. Kosei, while playing this, is still unable to hear the music, with him simply pounding on the keys, desperately hoping for some sort of ringing to be heard, with it visually being shown as drowning. This was a return that most believed could be Kosei's triumphant homecoming, the king reclaiming his throne. But instead, we get a faltering prince, who we know can accomplish greatness. Taking a break from Kaori and Kosei, we are introduced to another competitor by the name of Takeshi, who performs Chopin Etude Op. 10 No. 4, Torrent. The music of Torrent feels like the speedrunner of music. It starts off flying from the first note, a song known infamously for its demand of mastery from the pianist's left hand and placement that can catch out those who aren't prepared, turning their digits into a maze of fingers. American music critic James Honecker says it bubbles with life and spurts flame, which is an accurate description we can also pin on Takeshi, who has been chasing Kosei's shadow since their childhoods. But Takeshi isn't the only person who has been encapsulated in the massive shadow Kosei casted, with us being introduced to Igawa, performing Chopin Etude Op. 25 No. 11, Winter Wind, with the piece starting off very unsuspecting, which is the same as Igawa. But that is until it asserts itself. The twinkling of the keys gives me the image of snowflakes falling down, but not in the sense of a winter wonderland, but instead of an icy tundra, just dropping heaps of snow from the sky, swarming whatever poor thing be below it. But now changing gears back to our main two, with their next performance being Kreuzer's Old Vienna Melodies, Love's Sorrow, which is a part of a trio of music. It follows Love's Joy and precedes Lovely Rosemary. This is very on the nose. I find it so smart in having the melody being a tragedy, as it could have solely been Love's Joy, but that's not what the story is. We aren't in the time of enjoying love, the honeymoon phase, or even Cloud 9. No. Right now, the story's going towards its darkest days, with Kaori deteriorating and losing herself. This person who was once so full of joy and boldness, a person we have come to be attached to, inspired us, and possibly love, is now heading towards her final days. Kaori, as we know, is not going to recover from her illness. Her character can only take us halfway through this melody, only experiencing sorrow. But Kosei, he is who we have to follow in order to complete the melodies in Lovely Rosemary. The music gives a feeling of sitting and watching a slideshow of memories, sitting in a moment where the air is full of reminiscing on what was the peak of life. These moments partaking in a journey of love, remembering the moments of joy, but leaving us full of sadness, as they are but now a memory, but never to be forgotten. Next is Debussy, Suite Bergamasque, third movement, Clara de Lune, with its title painting this image of a tranquil evening, with the moon being the only accompanying soul. Tsubaki has just come off a breakup, and being in a place of regret for only dating the guy in order to distract herself from Kosei. with Tsubaki eventually settling down at a piano in the evening, just playing a single chord, which summons Kosei to come in and begin playing, kind of acting like a bartender just listening to their patrons. Tsubaki then spills out her feelings in the schoolroom, with their only companions being Kosei, the melody of the piano, and the all-seeing moonlight. Next is Tarkovsky's Waltz from the Sleeping Beauty. Now, this is one of the more unexpected pieces of music for me in the series. Reason being, most of the music used beforehand has had some heavy emotional weight in sound or story. So hearing a waltz was an uplifting tone to help alleviate the heavier ones. Kosei plays this piece with Aiza, a student of his late mother's friend, at her recital. The waltz is a duet with it portraying the sound of a ballroom dance, having a leader and a follower, with the more complex music structure taking the lead, confidently stepping and flowing, while the simpler keys are just tagging along for the ride, like a daughter standing on their dad's feet. Next is Chopin Etude Op. 10 number 12, Revolutionary Etude. Okay, being honest, I don't really care for this piece, and it kind of feels like a filler, so I'm skipping it. It's like, hey, it's my video. I feel I get a veto. With this leading to the series finale, Kosei's performance of Chopin Ballad No. 1 in G minor, Op. 23. This song is Kosei's lovely Rosemary, a song of remembrance, remembering his past fears and pains, remembering the support of his friends, remembering everything that Kaori has been to him, the emotions she awakened, the love of music she helped to bring back. The melody is played with such passion, stopping its audience to a mesmerized stillness, with Kosei being enveloped by the piano pouring out his soul, entranced in the music. In this musical paradise, we hear the playing of the violin, actuating and building upon this sense of ease and comfort, giving us hope that Kaori will be alright in her surgery, and waiting for the moment we will see her back on the stage with Kosei. But sadly, this musical paradise is un fantasia, as Kaori, much like the violin in this duet, has softly passed on, with the piano's music becoming rapid and frantic towards the end, a major spilling of raw emotions as the keys say goodbye to its duet. The older I grow, Your Lie in April as a series grows into a different shape than it was before. When I first viewed it, the series was an emotional journey, awakening the brilliance of storytelling and having to come to terms with the reality of death, as up till that point in my life, I had never experienced such for anyone I was close to. Now, after almost a decade of time passing between my first viewing and now, the plot has taken an even deeper meaning, evolving the story and music's impact on me, seeing the brilliance of the two coming together. And who's to say this is right or wrong? Maybe it's seeped in a lot of overanalysis and overthinking gymnastics to an Olympic level. But it still doesn't change the fact that the music played by these characters is a thing of beauty and is a worthy conduit to our emotions.